What's up YouTube? Joe again with Grindhouse Grotto. And tonight I want to talk about one of my favorite lesser known zombie films, and that is 2010's The Dead. This was directed by the Four brothers, and they, at the time when they made this movie, were kind of unknowns in the film industry. I don't think they really did anything of significance to this point, so this was like their breakthrough film. And I must say, for two new directors to the film industry, this film looks phenomenal, okay? I'll talk about what I appreciate about this film and why this film just really stands out to me later in this review. But I just want to take my hat off to these two guys for making such an awesome film. But this is just going to be a review of the movie. I'm going to talk about the Blu-ray release because from my understanding, this is the only release that is received. I will quickly show the Blu-ray so you all can see what it looks like, but I'm not going to go into detail about the Blu-ray release. But here's the cover art for the movie. Pretty cool cover art there. I like how these zombies are kind of coming out of the letters. Really cool stuff. And then the back there. Just an awesome movie. What I really enjoy about this movie is the fact that they went old school with this film, okay? They went back to the old school George Romero zombies that we've all grown to love. You know, the Hollywood flair that we've seen recently with these, you know, running zombies, these really flashy zombies. It's not, this is definitely a throwback to the old school zombie look. But what's really cool is these are African zombies. So, black zombies. And I think that's pretty cool because we've never seen that before in other films. And they look very, very cool. The makeup effects in this movie are phenomenal. You know, you can tell that they spent a good deal of their budget just making the makeup effects look awesome. The zombies definitely take the movie. They're the star of the movie in this, and rightfully so. The movie's about the zombies and the outbreak in Africa. And it's just awesome. Not to take away from the acting from the lead actor, Rob Freeman. He does an amazing job as the engineer in this film, and I will get into his role when I talk about the plot. He did an amazing job as well, and he actually does have a YouTube page, so I'll put the link to his YouTube page in my description box if you want to check out his page. I know he uploads from time to time, kind of does like vlogs, but he seems like a pretty cool guy, and I really would enjoy sitting down and talking to him and just discussing this film in depth, because this film just does not get enough credit for being such an awesome film, for doing something different with the zombie genre, and I think it's going to gain a cult following over time, similar to what we've seen, you know, with a lot of earlier horror films that, you know, just maybe when they first got released, people didn't know about them, but 15, 20 years later, people just really appreciate the films for what they are, and I think that's what's going to happen with this film. I think it's going to go down as a great zombie classic. So, digging into the plot of this film. This film is interesting because it takes place in Africa. And the cinematography in this movie is absolutely breathtaking, okay? That's really what sucked me in within the first 5-10 minutes, is the aerial shots of this, you know, of the African Sahara. And, you know, oh, man, the cinematography is beautiful in this film. I can't say enough about it. They did a phenomenal job. For being two amateur directors, you know, I don't really know if amateur is the right way to say it, but two new directors to the film industry, relatively new, they did a phenomenal job. This film looks amazing. The directing in this movie is incredible. A+ job. I give them my hats off. Take my hats off to these guys. They made a great film. So within moments of this film starting, we see a Air Force engineer, Lieutenant Murphy, played by Rob Freeman, and he's on the last flight out of Africa. So the zombie outbreak begins in Africa, and his military team, are trying to get out of the country. They're on the last flight out, and, you know, panic ensues when they're at the airport. People are trying to board the plane while it's in the middle of being taken off. You know, they've got the fuel. He says in the beginning of the film that the fuel lines were actually hooked onto they were in the middle of fueling the plane, and people were trying to board the plane while they were fueling, and they were getting overrun by a horde of zombies, so they had to take off without completing fueling. And so the fuel line got ripped out of the plane. They were under complete duress, and I think they received some damage to the plane while they were trying to escape the airport. So the plane ends up crashing. He ends up washing up on shore off the coast of Africa, and he is the only survivor of his flight. And as soon as he washes up on the beach, it is instant suspense from that point forward, okay? I mean, literally, as soon as he washes up on shore and looks in front of him, and he sees just a little bit above, outside of his view of the beach, he sees some zombies slowly, encroaching on him, and it's like a wave after wave of zombie. It's not the zombies we've seen in these recent zombie films. These running zombies. These are these slowly creeping, really just creepy. You know that if they get up on you, if you're overwhelmed by zombies, you're gonna die. And it's that slow suspense that I really appreciate with this film. Okay, you get this claustrophobic feel, even though you're in the wide open of Africa. I mean, just miles and miles of endless, Sahara, lush Sahara, and desert. You still feel a sense of claustrophobia as these zombies are, descending upon you. And I think that's really cool. I think it was well done that they brought that fear out of you when you're watching this film. And it's very suspenseful. So he's scrambling to get himself together. I mean, he doesn't even have seconds to get himself together while he's, getting out of the water, and he's trying to figure out what he's going to do. He's stolen, he's soaked from being in the water. Probably got a crazy headache from the crash. These zombies are coming up on the beach, and he sees a couple other crew members that are still alive, but we already know, looking at the state they're in, there's one guy that's kind of laying there, and he's got some broken legs. He's got bones, he's got a couple bones in his legs exposed, and he's not going to make it because he can't even probably stand up. But the zombies end up coming up on him, and similar to what we've seen in the Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead George Romero films, this guy meets a very gruesome demise at the hands of these zombies. And so he's seeing this happening, and it's this haunting music in the background. It kind of sets on him that, oh shit, this is real. I need to get into fight or flight mode. I need to get the hell up out of here. I'm getting overwhelmed by zombies. So he finds this crate on the beach, and he's starting to break it open with rocks that he's finding on the beach. These rocks are crumbling in his hands. He's running out of time. They're coming up on him. These waves of zombies. He finally ends up getting the crate open and ends up finding a gun in there, some clothes, and within seconds of the zombies almost actually getting to him, he's able to shoot them and escape. And that's how the film begins. Is that one scene of him washing up on shore and escaping, and then he gets himself fully clothed and he begins his journey to find his family, to get home to his family and just survive. So that was a really amazing scene in the movie, which really sucks you into the film. It gets you invested early on in the film that you want to see what's going to happen to him. It's really important to have some character development early on in the film, because if you didn't have that character development there, I don't know if the film would have enough substance with the zombies alone to make you want to watch the rest of the film. But I think Rob Freeman does an amazing job with his acting for this character, where you feel sympathetic for him. You feel like you could be in his shoes. What would it be like if you were on the last flight out and your plane crashed in Africa, and you have to make this dangerous trek in scorching heat with very limited resources across Africa? I mean, what the hell are you going to do? And I think that's just a really cool premise for a film, is surviving a zombie outbreak in one of the most desolate locations on Earth. And he does that in this film, and it's incredible. So once he escapes the beach, he kind of goes along, and he's kind of figuring things out for himself. He's looking at pictures of his wife and his son, and that's his whole purpose in this film, is to get back to the United States for his family. He doesn't know how far the zombie outbreak has gone, if it's reached the United States or if it's just contained in Africa. He doesn't know what's going on, but he wants to make it back to America to get back with his family, because he knows this is pretty serious stuff. Along the way, he finds the village, finds this truck, and being an engineer, an Air Force engineer, he knows how to fix things, and he basically fixes this truck right on the spot, gets it running, and before he can actually get the car, completely fixed, he gets overtaken by zombies, and he gets saved by an African Sergeant Daniel. who is a pretty interesting character in itself. He basically is on, he's kind of in the same journey that Lieutenant Murphy's on. He went AWOL from his squad, and you know, the local tribes. Not only does he have to worry about the zombies, but he's got to worry about his squad that he went AWOL from. They're going to kill him too when they find him, and he says that in the film, that I got to watch out. I'm on the run. I went AWOL. He's trying to find his son, so he's making the journey as well with Lieutenant Murphy, and they team up after he saves Lieutenant Murphy from the zombies. They get in this truck. They have a mutual agreement that Sergeant Daniel, he knows the territory real well. He knows how to get Lieutenant Murphy to this airport. He says, "I'll take you to this airport if you help me find my son and give me this truck." So they agree to terms and they begin their journey. And there's some bonding going on too, which is really cool. I think they realized that we might be the all we have now. This might be it. Our family might not be alive, and this is it. Our relationship, meeting each other, this could be it. We're all we have, and I feel like they have a lot of chemistry. They did a really good job building chemistry between these two characters. Sergeant Daniel goes into a little bit of his family tradition. He's got this necklace that he carries on him, and it's been passed down from generation to generation. And it means a lot to him to find his son so he can give him this necklace. And he doesn't know if they're going to survive this outbreak, but he wants to pass on this necklace to his son. And that plays a role later on in the film. I don't want to get too in depth with the plot, because I can stay here for an hour basically telling you the story of this movie. I want you to see this film for itself. But I'm going to summarize the rest of this plot. They begin their journey. They go across Africa. They're traveling across Africa with very limited resources, scorching heat, just waves and waves of these zombies that are just roaming around the desert. And they look really cool, by the way. You see all the damage these zombies receive. I'm talking about limbs that look broken, so they're walking on broken limbs with bones exposed. I mean, there's this one zombie very early on in the film where he's walking, and they show like the title sequence. This is the dead. And this zombie's walking, and his leg is kind of like, he's walking and his leg's like popping out of his socket while he's walking, and it just looks really cool. You see the bone popping out. You can hear like the noise of the bone popping. It's just, I can't say enough about this film. You gotta watch it. I don't want to spoil all the cool elements of this film. This is the film that you probably haven't heard about it because it's not talked about a lot, but once you watch it, you will be a fan. I'm pretty sure you will be a fan of this film watching it. I was blown away by it. I think you would too. But they make this journey across the barren wasteland of Africa, and you know, that's pretty much it. It's their struggle to survive with having very little water. You know, having to keep their car running, keep this truck running that Lieutenant Murphy fixed, and that becomes kind of like they're weighing what's more important to us. Are we gonna walk? Are we going to walk this and risk dying in this heat? Or are we going to have water? So they're having to choose water over this truck. And this truck is overheating, so they have to decide, are we going to give up our water, our precious resource, to keep this truck alive? And ultimately decide, okay, we need to get this truck alive because it's our best hope to survive. We cannot make this thing on foot. We're going to die in the desert. We're going to just die of dehydration anyways if we don't have this truck running. So that's as much of the plot as I want to give up. I think it's just an awesome film. I highly would recommend this for anybody that hasn't seen this. It will become an instant classic in your zombie collection. I promise that. And I think, like I said earlier, I think this film will gain more of a cult following over time. 15, 20 years from now, I see this film being held to the same pedestal. I wouldn't say at the same pedestal as Dawn of the Dead or Night of the Living Dead. I could see some comparisons being drawn. But I think it's going to have its own unique cult following, and it's going to be looked upon as one of the great zombie films of our generation. And I look forward to that time. I think everybody needs to see this film. What is really cool about this film, and something I want to touch upon, is what they had to do, what the four brothers had to go through to get this movie created, which I think it adds to the actual overall appreciation for this film. If you knew from listening to documentaries or reading their book, they actually made a book and I did like a limited release of it. So if you went to the Four Brothers website when they were promoting the sequel to this, The Dead 2, they released a book, a little documentary book about the making of this movie, and the amount of danger and the limited resources they had to have to get this film produced. It is not easy to make a film in Africa. Okay, you have to worry about the elements. There's no hotels for your crew members, so the crew members had to sleep in tents. You know, you have to bear the elements. You know, hot. You know, probably upwards of 120, 130 degrees. You know, they were on a shoestring budget, so they had very little money to fund this film. This was like their first feature film, you know, their first big movie that they ever made. And it wasn't even big to most standards, but to them, this was their big breakthrough movie. And then, what the most important thing was that they had to pay for protection. They had to pay for a team of local tribesmen to protect their crew while they were filming this. So at one point in the documentary, in the book they stated how at certain points, you know, there was gunfire going on. The village that they were working out of was under attack, and so they're in the middle of filming this movie, and they're being attacked, and they had to pay for security, and people were, you know, looting their security, looting their equipment. So, you know, they'd film in the morning, they get up to start filming some more, and some of their equipment would be stolen. So they'd have to, you know, make do with what they have. And at one point in time, as they got towards the end of the filming this thing, they were just running out of money, so they had to basically sell their equipment. They had to barter with locals in order to continue having security for the filming of this. And then at the same time, they had to pay the extras, the zombie extras. They had random locals and stuff play the zombies, and they're gonna want to get their cut of the film. They're not gonna do it for free. Certainly know that. But yeah, the process that went into making this film is just amazing. I give them so much credit for going out and taking on that challenge to make this film, because I don't think we'll ever see a film like this again. And they even said in their documentary that if they were to go out, and when they were talking about making the sequel to this film, The Dead 2, they wanted to continue the story of Lieutenant Brian Murphy, but they realized they really just couldn't do it. To do it again would be extremely dangerous. They were lucky to get this film produced. If they went back and tried to make a sequel in Africa, and with the political climate that's going on in that area right now, they just wouldn't be able to do it. It'd just be too dangerous. They just couldn't put their crew through that again. So hence we ended up getting a sequel that's not a direct sequel to this movie, but it takes place in the same universe. It's kind of like another outbreak going on in a different country. It ends up taking place in India, and I will get into that when I do a future review of the sequel to Dead 2. But overall, this film is just amazing. I highly recommend, if you want to watch a zombie film that's a little different, this film delivers. It's just incredible, the makeup effects, the way the zombies look. They just look really creepy. It's the first time we've really seen, you know, African zombies before. I know there's some earlier films like the voodoo zombies, you know, from the Louisiana and all that. We've seen some voodoo zombie movies like White Zombie, but this is completely different. This is a whole another beast in itself. I highly recommend this film. You need to check it out if you haven't seen it. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Okay. So anyways, guys, those are my thoughts on The Dead, the 2010 movie by the Four Brothers. This movie is incredible. Go check it out. Drop me a comment in the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are on this film. Are you interested in seeing this film? Would you watch this if you like this film? Would you be interested in seeing the sequel? I plan on doing a review of The Dead 2, so I'll put once I upload that video, I'll put a link in the description box for this film, so you can check that one out as well. They are in talks of potentially making a third one, whether it's going to take place a whole separate story or it's going to be a sequel to the second one, I'm not sure. But I'm constantly, anxiously awaiting news on that film. If you like this video, give me the thumbs up. Any support to my channel is greatly appreciated. If you're not a subscriber, do subscribe to my channel for future content. I would greatly appreciate the support. As a reminder, I am still doing my 100 subscriber giveaway. I'm almost at 50 subscribers, and I greatly appreciate all the support that I've gotten to this point. When I hit 100 subscribers, I'm going to be doing my giveaway. So I'm going to be giving away 4 films. I'm going to be giving away the 4K release of Prometheus, The Blu-ray release of The Lost Boys, one of my favorite films. I'm going to be giving away the Scream Factory Collector's Edition with the sleeve of Misery. And then last but not least, I'm going to be giving away the Blu-ray release of The Shallows. All really great films, all, you know, instant classics in my collection. I just think they're just a good variety of films that I think should be in everybody's collection. But anyways, guys, that's my thoughts on this film. That's my info on the 100 subscriber giveaway. Hope you appreciated this film. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, guys, take it easy.